COP28's agenda is focused on fast-tracking the energy transition through a lens of climate action, accountability, and inclusivity. This focus on improving accountability and public disclosure of climate-related information will have regulatory implications across the globe and is aligned with ongoing efforts to the same effect. Recently, in the U.S., California enacted 2 laws purporting to impose new and comprehensive climate disclosure reporting requirements. And these obligations are on all public and private entities that operate within the state. Given that California itself would constitute the world's 4th largest economy, these new requirements will mandate an estimated 5,400 reporting entities submit annual filings detailing their greenhouse gas emissions. Perhaps most notably, these reports will detail the full scope of emissions for each reporting entity, spanning Scope 1, including direct emissions from operations, all the way through to Scope 3, which include indirect supply chain emissions from uses upstream and downstream. Last year, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission proposed similar climate disclosure rules, with the exception of Scope 3. U.S. companies under the purview of these rules would also be required to discuss alignment with any of their publicly stated climate targets or emissions reductions goals, including the use of carbon offsets or renewable energy certificates. The rule is anticipated to go into effect in 2024, which is compelling many companies to now prepare for complying with these new federal-level disclosures. Across the pond, in January of this year, the EU implemented its Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, which covers 50,000 reporting entities. Its scope mostly mirrors that of the California law, particularly in requiring information on Scope 1 through 3 emissions. And similar to the proposed SEC rule, the EU directive requires companies to include a narrative about how sustainability matters affect their business, as well as any climate pledges or goals they've made. If other states and countries adopt this type of approach, the reporting regime for climate disclosures could become much more robust and transparent. Here, the upside is better insight into possible avenues for mitigation and reduction, as well as identifying gaps. However, there may be pushback from reporting entities due to an increased regulatory and compliance burden. But proactive, intentional planning and coordination can aid in mitigating the compliance burden and ease the transition. In light of severe weather events that have disrupted grid operations in recent years, the top energy regulator in the U.S. has proposed a number of new rules and reliability standards that are intended to bolster winterization and preparedness. COP28 will likewise focus on impacts of increasingly frequent storms and natural disasters that pose a threat to vulnerable communities, as well as to the efficient and effective deployment of clean, reliable energy. Similarly, in alignment with COP28's emphasis on inclusivity, in the U.S., the Biden administration has developed new programs and provisions geared towards more equitable and diverse decision-making processes, energy production, as well as the deployment of government funds aiding in the energy transition. For example, a recent round of bids for offshore wind in the Gulf of Mexico mandated that companies account for underserved populations, including the tribes and environmental justice, or EJ communities. And for the first time in U.S. history, through the Justice 40 initiative, the federal government has made a goal that 40% of the overall benefits of certain federal investments flow directly to disadvantaged communities that are marginalized, underserved, and overburdened by pollution. We anticipate COP28 will direct both dialogue and action towards these critical issues of accountability, disclosure, ensuring reliability, and prioritizing equity throughout the energy transition. These developments provide an exciting opportunity for those market participants who lean into the transition and actively participate in securing our energy future.